Welcome to the ironworkers training facility. Today we're going to walk through some of the processes that we learned for welding and cutting. So we're going into the virtual reality training room.
We're going to go over a few simulations that we have here. The first one we're going to go over is it simulates a fall protection module. So what that does is you inspect a harness and then you do basically what these gentlemen are doing up here, which is you simulate connecting. So let's get started. Everything he's seeing, you can see on this screen right behind you. So he's going to simulate the installing of an I-beam, which is connecting. Vertigo? Yep. All right. Let me get in there. So now I have my lanyards here, right? And I tie off to the beam clamp. I step out onto this ledge. Can you guys see what I'm seeing? All right, and here's my beam. I take and install. And then, again, I tie off to that beam clamp, unhook the first one. As long as no one's in front of me, I shouldn't run into anybody. But now I walk across the beam, remove the wire rope choker, send the hook away with the crane, turn around, and I fell. But the harness caught me for a second. But I missed something. Joe, that would have got a lot worse, man, because I just got vertigo. Jeez, that was all we would use this system for. Over here we have virtual reality stick welding. It helps you kind of develop like at least a little bit of an understanding or a little bit of a muscle memory on how far the tip of your welding rod should be to the workpiece before you introduce real welding, where your rod can get stuck to the plate and things can get a little bit more frustrating. So everything that I'm seeing, you should be able to see on this screen. So I'll do a quick look around before I start welding. You guys see that iron worker up there working on a piece? And this is the workpiece. And if you see that red arrow, that's basically telling me, okay, you're too far from the workpiece. And I'm gonna follow that, and that's gonna help me understand exactly how far from the workpiece that I should be welding. And when it lights up green, I'm in the right place. And while I'm welding, if you see the rod in my hand it's running up to simulate how it would be when a rod is actually melting down on you. So you do have to account for that adjustment as you're welding as well. So now that weld has slag on it, so instead of chipping away in it, you can just clean it and you can analyze it, and even zoom in to some of the spots where you notice you sped up a little bit. And then as soon as you're done, instead of wasting all that steel, you can just hit new coupon and you're ready to go. Basically, the arc striking it's like connecting two ends of a car battery, right? Welding is almost like a controlled version of that. It is similar to the regular striking of an arc. It's just there's less of you can't get stuck. And then we have here boom lifts, actual real boom lift baskets. The only difference is that the door swings outward instead of inwards. What this does is this simulates boom lift training to expose students who have never been exposed to any type of aerial lift training. And it gives you a little bit of a feel for the controls, so you can work out some of those kinks and be a little bit more fluid in your movements. And there are some simulations where you're just driving the boom lift through checkpoints. And there are others where you'll actually extend the boom lift to reach heights through checkpoints. It gives you a realistic feel for what driving in a boom lift would actually be like. In addition, there's a scissor lift module. The only two parts of this boom lift that are different than what you would see in a regular boom lift would be that the door swings outward and that there's actually a scissor lift control panel in it. This would simulate what driving a scissor lift would be like. Final column?
In a minute.
Nice. I appreciate you, Conrad. The Allied thanks you. Oh, hey, Frank. Good to see you. Oh my God, Vanessa. How are you doing? This is a 35-foot column climb. It's part of our physical fitness test to enter into the apprenticeship program. Throughout the duration of your apprenticeship, you will climb the column just about once a month. And when you get to your third year of apprenticeship, you'll be climbing the column with a full tool belt on, which weighs about 30 pounds. And the goal is you need to make sure that your column climb is under 40 seconds. A good time would be anyone who has a column climb in under 15 seconds. And then you have your rock climbers and your superstars who are under 10. This here is Ricardo. Ricardo's about to climb for us. Thank you, Rick.
Yeah, thank you.
For welding, we do SMAW, which is shielded metal arc welding, stick welding, and FCAW, which is flux core arc welding. So let's walk in the back and kind of check out to see what they're doing. So we're at the welding area. In this area, we have 33 welding booths where we could do multi-processes. So let's go in the booth and see what they're doing. Perfect. So inside this booth, the welder is practicing flux core arc welding, FCAW. This type of welding is a wire fed process with a tubular electrode filled with flux. This process is used in high production welding. So this process is called SMAW, shielded metal arc welding, more commonly known as stick welding. The welder is going to use a stick electrode and electrode holder. So they're going to strike an arc. When that happens, an arc is formed with an incredible amount of heat, about 4,500 degrees Celsius. Melts the filler metal, melts the base metal, fuses. So it fills the groove or the joint of the base metal.
When I was younger, my friends would call me hot sauce, and then they said salsa picante, salsa picante.
All right, I need to get someone to set up here. So as you can see, what we saw being done in a virtual setting, and now you see what it actually is in the actual welding process. I should probably have my jacket on, right? So what we have here is oxy-fuel cotton, and our fuel of choice is acetylene. It's actually a chemical process that is used to rapidly oxidize steel. The fuel is lit, and then you have the oxygen that makes the flame more volatile, a lot more heat. Oxy-fuel is primarily used for carbon steel. It has to have a high amount of iron in it to cut. So it's really good for low carbon steel and very low alloy steel, but primarily for carbon steel it works best. So we have the oxygen, we have the acetylene, and we have gauges. The first step is you light the torch, you get your preheat flame, then you have to preheat the metal. So you wait till the metal kindle, and kindle meaning it turns reddish. You see it looks like it gets a little bit molten. Once it's at that step, you could apply your cotton oxygen. So there's a trigger, you press the trigger, and there's a high velocity stream of oxygen that comes out of the touch. And what that does is it increases the intensity of the flame drastically, rapidly oxidizes the steel, and it blows the molten metal, away. So anywhere there's the cut steel, on a construction site or even on a shop environment, you use oxy-fuel cotton. We use acetylene, you could use propane, you could use natural gas. There's different fuels that you could use, but the oxy-fuel process is the most common cotton process used to cut carbon steels. There's no getting away from this. So next, we're going to take a look at plasma arc cutting. What happens is when the electricity drums through the gap of air from one point to the next, it ionizes the air and creates a plasma. So that creates a very, very intense arc. There's different types of gases you could use based on the material that you're cutting. Oxygen mix, argon, nitrogen, as I said, it's based on the material. So a stream of gas passes through the plasma and cuts the material. It's a very good process to cut alloy materials, whereas oxy-fuel is limited to low carbon steel.
second I have to turn the air on. So copper rod is placed in here where the feed is holes. The air comes out through there. That's what gives us the pressure. Place it in about 4 to 5 inches. When you're ready to go, you got to make sure that the air is blowing in the direction that you want to start. So this is the land. We'll do a lot of like wrecking jobs. If we got to cut steel, big steel, and this will pretty much pierce through anything. So you'll have a thick piece of steel and you can pretty much plunge it right into it. It'll melt right through.
This is a bolt. It just kind of simulate burning off a rivet. So as you can see, we can blow the whole head off of a rivet, pierce through it, and then all we have to do is usually just knock it out.
This piece of equipment is actually made by Miller Electric. It's the live arc system. Where we use this is when we have students that are having some troubles with arc length, travel speed, travel angle, some of the variables of welding. They actually weld. So here we have a holder, and you know you put in an electrode just as you would with a regular welding boot. And in the holder there's sensors here, and there's cameras that read the sensors. Now as the students weld, the camera tracks the variables. Any variables that we want to track, we could set it there, and we could track all of them, and it tracks it, and it actually brings it up on the screen to tell them what their travel speed was, what their arc length was. So if they're struggling with travel speed or a particular angle, for instance, we could actually have a representation on the screen with a graph or some sort of metrics that they could see, well, at this point, this is what happened. It could be reflected on the screen. So it gives them a really good idea of how to improve their skills.
Who is this? Introduce.
Oh, this is...
we're on camera.
Yeah. This is Nicholas. He's my brother. All right. So this is actually an ironworker belt, and it's not completely filled. You know, the 2 inches are not in the belt. Normally we have the 2 inches in the belt, the connecting bar, a few ball pins, and you know, a beater, you know, hammer. A lot of ironworkers use 2 bags, so we could put bowls or, you know, whatever small tools in it. So once a belt, just say you have a full belt with everything in it, it's probably close to 50 pounds. You know, that's kind of the weight on it, and that's what an ironworker wears every single day when they go to work.